Right now, everyone's obsessed with the Switch 2. New hardware, big ports, that's where all the attention went, mine included. But the original Switch isn't going anywhere, and games are still coming to it. So today, the spotlight's on it. 15 games we're waiting on for Switch 1. First up, a hit of nostalgia. This is a remaster of the 2010 Toy Story 3 game, and it finally folds in the content that used to be locked to the PS3 version, with cleaner visuals, a higher resolution, and smoother performance. The big draw is still Toy Box mode, that sprawling sandbox where you reshape the town and unlock characters and vehicles pulled from other Pixar films. One thing to flag before you get excited, Toy Story 3 on its own only exists as a digital purchase, and the physical cartridge actually bundles it with a separate collection of classic Toy Story games called Retro Roundup. So the boxed version is 2 games in one case, and you pay noticeably more for it. Digital Eclipse is handling the remaster, and that studio tends to treat old licenses with real care. So for the original Switch, this is a rare case of an old movie tie-in done properly.
We'd always try new things.
Here stands a restaurant floating on.
Here's the curveball for One Piece fans. Instead of another brawler or arena fighter, this one is a slow, comfy restaurant management sim. You take a job on the floating Barati under Sanji, cook dishes, hunt down recipes, and decorate the place, while more than 400 characters from the series wander in, drawn in a cute pixel style for the first time. Kairosoft is behind it. And if you know that studio, you already know the trap waiting for you. The just one more shift loop that eats your evening. I'll temper expectations on the hardware side though. A game like this should run fine on Switch and Switch 2 since it leans on its loop rather than its looks, but that's exactly why it might feel a little plain on a big docked screen. In handheld, on the couch, or in bed, it's close to perfect. It skips PlayStation and Xbox entirely, so for Nintendo owners, it's something of an exclusive.
Hop aboard as a rookie staff member and help the Straw Hat crew run the... Decorate it to make the tastiest looking meal set.
Now I have to be straight with you, and it goes right to the premise of this video. Ratatan is the spiritual heir to Patapon. Built partly by the same people, a rhythm roguelike where you march a little army of critters into battle on the beat. Sounds like a slam dunk for a list like this. Except there's a catch. The original Switch version was cancelled, along with the PS4 one. It's launching on Switch 2 only, which matters a lot if your video is specifically about the first Switch. The silver lining for Switch 2 owners is a proper cartridge with the whole game on it instead of a game keycard, which is a nice rarity these days. If you're still on the original Switch though, this one quietly passes you by.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
Time to darken the mood. Silver Pines is old-school survival horror shot from an unusual 2.5D angle. A half-abandoned American town, a private eye, a phone call, and orders to find a missing musician. It wears its influences openly, the kind of thing Alone in the Dark and Resident Evil built decades ago, with scarce resources, puzzles, and that constant fight-or-run math. The demo already has a real grip to it, and people are putting it next to the genre's best.
I'll find Eddie Velvet.
This one's a grin for anyone who grew up in the 80s. Dragon Pearl of Destruction is an arcade beat-em-up set in the He-Man world, with huge detailed pixel sprites that look like the old cartoon got up and started moving. It's made by Bitmap Bureau, the team behind Terminator 2D, no Fate, so the odds of the brawling feeling solid are good. You can take it solo or bring a second player in co-op, working through 12 stages as He-Man, Teela, and the rest. The sour note, it's already been pushed back. It was meant to land at the end of April, and now it's slid to summer with no firm date attached. The delay isn't huge or alarming, but keep in mind the window is still fuzzy and could drift a little more before it actually shows up. If you want to breathe out after the horror and the punching, here's the soft option. Little Witch in the Woods is a sweet pixel life sim about Ellie, a young witch doing her apprenticeship, helping the village, brewing potions, fishing, and slowly making the forest feel like home. It already reached its full release on PC after 3 years in early access, so the Switch version arrives as a finished, settled game rather than a work in progress, which counts for a lot. The Stardew Valley comparison writes itself, though the pace here is gentler and more meditative. Worth saying plainly, too. There's no enhanced Switch 2 version announced yet, so plan on a straight port. For a genre that lives or dies on mood and slowness, the Switch in handheld mode suits it almost perfectly.
For example,
the kingdom's everlasting peace rests on your
The heavy hitter comes straight from Nintendo. Rhythm Heaven Groove is the first new entry in the Cult Rhythm series in roughly 11 years, and the wait has been long. The idea is the same and still brilliant in its simplicity. You catch the beat and tap in time to absurdly catchy music, some of it from composer Tsunku. There are more than 80 new mini-games, an unlockable mode where you play a wizard, zapping monsters with rhythm combos, and multiplayer for up to 4. One hardware note, Nintendo's own page still lists Switch 2 compatibility as untested, though nobody's really expecting trouble there. This is the original Switch bowing out on a strong first-party note, and it's easily one of the games I want most on this list.
and as you play through the game, you can unlock different modes.
Back to cozy, this time with a gothic twist. In Moonlight Peaks, you play a young vampire who'd rather step out of his father Count Dracula's shadow and live kindly. You fix up the abandoned family farm, grow magical crops, brew potions, and build relationships with the local werewolves, witches, and mermaids. It's a comfy life sim with a nicely spooky storybook coat of paint, and this is one of the times a Switch 2 version actually means something. That edition gets a higher resolution and a better frame rate, and owners of the regular Switch version can pay $5 to upgrade. One thing does cool my enthusiasm. There's no multiplayer at all, which for a cozy game built for company feels a touch dated in 2026. If you like playing these solo, no harm done, but you can't pull a friend in. The blocky world is calling you back to clear some dungeons. Minecraft Dungeons 2 is a direct follow-up to the hack-and-slash spin-off, with a fresh threat, new locations and co-op for up to 4 players online or on one couch. The formula should feel familiar: snappy loot, swarms of mobs, and easy group fun. This is where the skepticism earns its keep, though. The first game, charming as it was, took flack for a short campaign and combat that ran shallow, so the question hanging over the sequel is whether it finally added some depth. The Switch 2 build weighs in around 6.8 gigabytes, which hints at a fairly modest scope. And it's launching at the tail end of September into a brutally crowded window, so there's a real risk it gets trampled by louder games. Halenoro might be the most distinctive thing on the whole list. It's a colorful, music-driven action platformer set on the fictional island of Lemuria, which takes its cues from Malagasy folklore. It's made by Red Rakita, an independent studio based in Madagascar, and you can feel that. The hand-drawn art is alive and bursting with cultural character. The story has you assembling a band, touring around in a beat-up shared taxi, and fighting in a wonderfully odd way, using the power of your own hair and whatever's lying around, slippers and frying pans included. It's charming chaos, and a bright, goofy adventure like this fits the handheld Switch especially well. This is the kind of indie that slips under everyone's radar and then turns out to be a small game of the year for somebody. after all that noise, the complete opposite in tone. TOEM 2 continues the charming black and white photography game that won a BAFTA the first time around. You pick up the camera again, wander gentle little areas at your own pace. Help the people you meet and photograph the small wonders around you with no timer and no pressure. One technical detail made me happy. The developers are specifically building TOEM 2 to run at a steady 60 frames per second on the original Switch, and that kind of care for first console owners is rare right now.
Neptune come to rid the seas of pirate scum.
Titans of the Tide is a 3D SpongeBob platformer where you swap between him and Patrick on the fly, mixing their abilities to clean up the ghostly mess in Bikini Bottom. The thing is, it's already out, just on Switch 2, PS5, Xbox, and PC since last November. The original Switch is getting it almost a year late as a delayed port, and that's where I'd be cautious. Purple Lamp hasn't always nailed performance on the weaker original Switch hardware, and Titans of the Tide runs on Unreal Engine 5. The platformer itself is solid if a bit unoriginal, but I wouldn't vouch for how stable the first Switch version is until the early impressions are in.
One of those magic lantern thingies. Along came a hero, Poison Square. Beware of king and ghost. Be wary of the judgment way.
Who are you two?
They must have somehow tampered with
Got someone to play with at home? Then this deserves a look. Trine 6. Together in Time is the next chapter in Frozen Byte's well-loved series of co-op puzzle platformers, where you make your way through a pretty fairy tale world by working together. This time there are 5 heroes, 3 familiar veterans, and 2 newcomers. And the headline new trick is the ability to slow down time. Nicely, the puzzles have been reworked so any character can solve them, and you can play through with 4 people online on the couch or completely alone. A small heads up on the date. The developer says September 17th, while some outlets ran September 25th, so don't be thrown by the mismatch in announcements. Trine has always been known for those near postcard visuals, and I'm curious how well it holds that line on the original Switch.
that the young siblings had been keeping secrets. Some of them much darker than
Here goes.
The tiara of Nefertari on Dolores' wall.
Another one where I need to stop and clear things up. The game you might know as Airy Buck2 and the Anytime Elevator has been renamed, and it's now called Lifted. It's a cinematic 2.5D puzzle platformer about a high schooler stuck as the reluctant sidekick to an eccentric professor on a trip through time chasing an ancient relic. A former Disney Imagineer is behind it, and the love for 80s adventure movies shows. But for this video, 2 things matter. First, only the PC version arrives on July 22nd, with the console releases coming later. Second, and this is the big one, the console version is now slated for Switch 2 rather than the original Switch, and it still has no firm date. The game is short, maybe 3 to 5 hours, and clearly made with affection. But if you're on the first Switch, waiting around for this specific one probably isn't worth it.
Steer this thing. Stop right now! We got company!
From Adventure Works.
You did it! Strangers?
Last on the list, and it's a warm bit of genre comfort. Whirlite, No Time to Trip is a comedy sci-fi adventure in the mold of the old point-and-click greats, and it bows openly to Sam and Max, Day of the Tentacle, and Monkey Island. The plot follows Hector, an eccentric inventor who accidentally kicks off a string of time travel mishaps, hopping across eras of a fictional seaside town with the quick-witted Margaret in tow. The look is clever. The characters are drawn as 2D animation while the backgrounds are detailed 3-dimensional scenes, and together it reads as expensive. It's already on PC with the original Switch and the other consoles arriving closer to autumn. The genre is niche, and there aren't many people left who love patiently clicking around a screen hunting for solutions. But if that's you, this is exactly the cozy, witty thing to chew through in handheld.
Exactly. And today it's going to smash us.
Hi. Hello again.